Team Amy writes in with a serious problem. My neighborhood was built in the late 1980s. She says, I've had my house for 23 years, and for the first time last year, I had a sewer backup. This is every homeowner's nightmare, right? Mm-hmm. A plumber snaked the line, and she says all is well. My question is, what's the best way to prevent it from happening again? And Cora, for you afterwards, does she need to disclose it since it's all been cleaned up? So let's go for Brad first. What's the best way to prevent it? A backup valve?
So, well, I don't know. I mean, she's lived in the house for 35 years, right? And this is the first
23 years.
Well,
23 years.
The house, I'm sorry. Okay, but the house was built
in
35 years ago.
Right,
so,
right.
So she's lived there a long time. There hasn't been a backup. Now, it could have been something that's changed. The trees may have been more mature. She may have had a, some sort of a break in that main line.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anyone who does a routine kind of normal clean out of roots
mm-hmm.
In a house. I mean, you could certainly do that on a preventive basis, probably a couple $100, every say 3 to 5 years if you want to, have one of those clean out companies, those rooter companies, come in and clean that out. But as trees become more mature, they become a little bit more of a problem. There are companies too that can set a camera down the line and check it periodically. I mean, a few $100, $200-$300, you can have that the system checked that way too. But yeah, I don't know of anyone who'd say, here's a routine way. You can get products at the big box hardware stores that, are enzymes that you put, you flush down your toilets that go out and they kind of eat away at those little hair roots that come into the sewer line. But the reality is we're flushing enough solids through those lines that's knocking those hair roots away. So typically just a house that stays occupied, will move enough water through to keep those roots at a minimum. But, there may be some circumstances. If you ever do see water, if you have a toilet that's gurgling or bubbling, or you have water that backs up into a drain, call a plumber right away. Let them come out and check it, because that's, even though the problem may go down, just means that there is a blockage that's starting to build up and it needs to be cleaned out before the sewage comes all the way back into the house.
And then, Cora, the need to disclose since it's been cleaned up.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I would say that could bring value to your home. Here's some improvements that I've made to the property. Here's some work that I've had done. And that way, they're put on notice that further investigation or inspections of any kind is on them during their due diligence period. But absolutely, that must be disclosed.
Yeah, I would say, folks, anytime there's a problem with the house, whether it's a leaky faucet that drips onto the floor below the sink itself in the cupboard, roof leak. What's happening, Brad, fill everybody in. You're looking for signs of something like this when,
yes. Yeah, the home inspection, we're looking for any sort of water, any sort of moisture intrusion into a house. It's one of the biggest things that the home inspector is going to be looking for.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And folks, even if it's remedied and there's not any damage that's created that would lend itself to, some sort of adversarial action post-closing, what it can create during the course of that transaction is a material misrepresentation that now gives that buyer an out of the contract. And you don't want that. You don't want to give them a free contingency. Go ahead and disclose.
Yeah, it's so important. And even if you're not planning on selling right now, folks, if you have something happen in your house, a leak, whatever it might be, jot it down, put it away somewhere so you've got a record of it that you can easily access when you do decide. Because ultimately, we're all going to sell our home someday, either get a bigger home, smaller home, whatever it might be.